Well, I think whatever you like it or not, this is the way out. So this is what we need to do. Because in the past, we are depending too much on the VIP market. And when there are some economic factors that affect this group of people, so our revenue will be affected. So I think the only way out is to, to go to the mass market. The example is very easy. For instance, what we are talking about, fashion. So when the economy is affected, the first to be affected will be the designer labels, the high-end fashions. Whereas the Zara, the H&M will be still full of clients. So that's the reason why we have to develop more the mass market. In the future, we are going to develop more the integrity and the quality of our gaming industry and putting more regulations on it. Because in the past, it was a very fast development. So the things are just going anyway and the revenue will grow. So now we have an adjustment period for already 25 months. And so I think it's time for us to calm down and think what we should do. And I think regulating better the whole industry will be advantageous to every party involved. We have to recognize the contribution of the junkets all over the years because it was a main part of the gaming revenue. So I think they worked very hard in the past and they still have a huge value to exist in our sector. So I would not say that they have any negative impact to the government. Of course, during the operation, there are things that can be improved, but doesn't mean that they are bad. So I think this is a point that I have to clear up. Secondly, I think the market, as we are in a market economy, so the things will evolve, just like you mentioned. So all the participants in the economic activity, they have to adjust to the market. So there are some changes in the junkets, of course, it's normal. So maybe they have to join together and make it more powerful, more financially stronger, and that's a way that they have to survive in the industry. Well, we are looking for stronger junkets, especially financially, because we are trying to revise the law. And the orientation is we are looking for stronger financial requirements as well as some roots in Macau. So it will be a certain percentage of shares that should belong to Macau residents. Well, we are working very hard on the bill of the junkets. So just like I mentioned right now, that we are thinking about to ask for more financial requirements for them. On the other hand, we have to demand them a certain share of the local residents if it is a company. So this is a very essential one. We are also working in several other legal documents, such as the conditions of entering into the casino. We're also thinking on the restructuring of DICJ. So these are the main bills or laws and regulations that we are doing now. About the details, I can't disclose much right now. It's not the right time to talk about it. But the idea is make it more functional to adjust the development, because for a long time we didn't hire much persons, my staffs. We have a very small structure. So I think it's necessary to change in order to adjust to the development of the sector. Actually, the technology are developing a lot. So we have to change some standards to make it more fair for the players. So on the other hand, we have upgraded our version of the slot machines mainly to a version is called 1.1. So those need some technical adjustment. So just to make sure that the games will be fair for the players. Well, I think a few years ago, the government already set up the policy for the allocation of tables, especially the increase of numbers of the tables until 2022, which is an average of 3% of the total tables a year. So I think this picture was quite clear for everyone from the very beginning. A few years ago, that was already announced, this policy. So of course, the concrete number will depend on many factors in the macroeconomy or the economy of Macau. So the government is deciding under these circumstances and regulations. I think this is not only the mission of DICJ, but many government officers will work together on it. And in the part of DICJ, we are trying to encourage the integrated resource to create more non-gaming amenities in order to attract more family tourists. I think those are the measures that we are taking. Try to encourage the integrated resource to create more non-gaming amenities. I believe so. I believe so. Well, because the contract was expired last December, and it was extended for 1 year. So until December of this year, we really need to have a decision about what is going on. So last year we have appointed the University of Macau to do a study, and the results of the study has recently reached the DICJ and Macau government. So there are some suggestions. So we take one of the suggestions, so which is the one that everybody knows that we announced a few weeks before. Certainly, but as we announced in public that if they really can find a place, we still have to consider the influence to the residents around, and the conditions of the animals must achieve an international standard. Well, actually, I take this opportunity to say again that the telephone betting is not allowed in the modern jurisdictions, the more civilized gaming jurisdictions. So in the past, we did not allow, but we did allow the usage of telephone. So what we are banning is the usage of telephone on tables, because we'll be very suspicious, because we cannot control what the patron is talking about. So he's asking someone how to bet and bet on what and so on. So that's why we have banned the telephone usage on table from the 9th of May. From 9th of May. And especially this is a very important measure to meet the international standards. So after this new measure, so in most of the cases, people are complying with it. So with isolated cases, also with the intervention of our inspectors, and they stop using the telephone. So what I can say, it's quite positive. Of course, there are isolated situations, but in general, it was quite positive. We had accompanied the situation, and about Dore, as I mentioned before, there are different groups of situations. Those that Dore recognized the existing some money on them, they were paying gradually. So as I can recall that some of them cannot be contacted by the Dore staff, so those are not paid yet. But most of the situation they pay already. We can only work hard on it, and we don't see any external factors that is very favorable to an increase. But what we should do is, in this moment, we have to prepare ourselves, and we try to revise the law, regulate better all the environment in order to prepare for the next boom. Last month, I've been in Singapore joining a regulators symposium. So I have the chance to meet some of the regulators of different jurisdictions, namely those that you mentioned right now. So I realize, and I still believe that we still have advantage over them still. But of course, we have to be prepared for the challenges. We have a more mature market. As most of the patrons comes from China, we are prepared to receive them. We have the same language, the culture, and our casinos are good. Our resorts are good. The gastronomy is good. So we have a series of good conditions. And one thing is very important is in Macau is very safe, unlike some jurisdiction in Asia that is not safe. Even if you walk out in the street, you will be worry about that, right? So I think for short term, we still have a certain advantage, but for long term, we really need to prepare to improve ourselves, to work hard in the integrity and quality of our gaming sector.